Welcome to another episode of Three Men in a War Game. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm your co-host, Kevin, or Chop, or, yeah, just those two.
And I am your other co-host, Kif.
Kif?
Excuse me?
Kif.
Lower, too low. Lower.
There. I gave one to you guys, okay?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody gets one. Everybody gets
Isn't that
one.
right, Peter? Everybody gets one. Oh, man. We are off the rails already and into comedy.
10 seconds.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it wasn't even Letterkenny.
I know.
Sorry.
Man. We're slacking. Anyway, it's been a minute.
That's like a whole other thing.
Yeah, for listeners, and it's funny because, like, I'm going to say a thing that people on the Discord might not even realize. Like, they know I went on vacation, but they might not know that I got COVID on the vacation, and then I couldn't go home, and I was, like, away from home for an extra week. So it's been a while since we talked.
And forced vacation.
Yeah, forced extra vacation, which was pretty rough, honestly. But I mean, it meant, guys, I didn't play a game of Fab for almost a month. Can you imagine?
Ooh, boy.
I know.
You poor man.
I could have played on Talishar, which is the like unofficial online client.
Yeah.
I could have done that, but I didn't. I ended up just not playing any, which was crazy. But and look at me bringing Fab back into the minis podcast within 2 minutes. But I just thought that was a good anchor for people to realize how crappy that time was.
And that's probably like the least bad thing that's happened to us all year.
Yeah, definitely.
But this year has been the year of like suckage like that. So
Yep.
For sure. Okay, well, gentlemen.
Yes.
We are going to talk about a thing that was revealed while I was in Puerto Rico for the first part of my vacation. And then we're going to do a little year-end things we loved because we do that every year and it's fun. And now is the time to do it. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Paul, you want to ring in the thing that was revealed that everyone probably already realizes what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, Star Wars Shatterpoint.
Yes, Star Wars.
Yay!
More Star Wars stuff.
And
You can never have too much Star Wars.
Spoiler alert, probably the Star Wars game of my dreams. Like if I had to build, like, and we don't know the rules yet, right? But like from the premise, the Star Wars game that I want, like Imperial Assault, which was, if you guys ever played that, a grid-based game that Fantasy Flight made, that was a 1 versus mini game, had a 1v1 scenario-based mod for it that was really cool, but it wasn't a freedom of movement minis game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So didn't have that, but that scale and that like engagement size is what I want. And this game is that.
Yes, the starter set looks great. The terrain looks great.
Yes. So what do we know?
The future minis should look great.
Yeah. Let's talk about what we know right away, right? And first and probably most importantly is that this is an atomic mass game.
Mm-hmm.
Our same creative team that developed Marvel Crisis Protocol is the team that has designed this. And they have assured us that it is its own game and will not... I mean, I'm sure it's going to have some mechanical DNA with War Machine and MCP because MCP has some pretty clear War Machine DNA, right?
Absolutely, yep.
But I also, having seen... I don't think this is going to be a War Machine and Horde situation. Like, I don't think these games are going to be similar but cross-compatible. I think they're going to be different enough that they're their own games.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, but if they were cross-compatible, that would be the coolest thing ever.
Do you think Disney would allow that? They'd have, like, freaking Anakin going around beating up Sabretooth?
Yeah, that would be freaking amazing. Are you kidding me?
I mean, maybe.
We would want that. I don't think Disney wants their IPs muddled that way.
I mean, look, it's possible, right? Because the models appear to be in the same scale. So that's another thing we know. Like, it's pretty easy to look at these models and understand that they are in the exact same model scale as MCP. And I think we can reasonably come to that assumption for a couple of things. One of them is not even the base sizes, but the
bases themselves.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, the bases themselves, they are the same size as the MCP bases, right? But also what
They look exactly the same.
Yeah, the base and then the little lip and then whatever kind of texture they have on it.
Like the cracked cement.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks exactly like an MCP base.
The patterns are different. But
different-ish.
They do look more Star Warsy. But what I was going to say was the proportions of the minis. Because they do appear to be like that 40 millimeter true scale, right? So it's that same scale that MCP is in, and that is an obvious choice when looking back at like 28 and 32 millimeter models, because there's just like an incredible amount of expression that can be packed into these models that isn't really possible with the smaller models. If any evidence is needed, the Han Solo model from Legion can be looked at. That is.
Whew, that was a bad one.
Yeah. These are much, much, much better. So things we can draw, we know it's going to be that same high quality plastic, and the plastic that's being used in current MCP models, right? Which is a huge step up from those in the core box of MCP. So it's like the things that AMG has learned about multi-part plastic model creation, put into these Star Wars models. So that is thing one amazing, right?
Yep. I like that.
Yeah. Also, I think we know, based on clues and the way that AMG talks, that terrain is going to matter a lot in this game, probably more than it matters in MCP.
Well, I think we have a good hint as to how much they care about terrain in this game.
Yes, go ahead. Explain why, Paul.
They just released images of 2 terrain packs.
Yes, and very amazingly named
That's right.
terrain packs, by the way.
Cover something. I said it to you earlier.
Duck and cover.
Well, the high ground.
Take cover, and the high ground.
Yeah. And so
they're really playing out this high ground thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's great though, and like, for one of the things, can you imagine? And you know you're gonna do this the first time you have control of Obi-Wan, and you jump off of terrain and land in front of an enemy.
Oh yeah. What do
you
mean the first time? That's going to be absolutely in every time. every single time.
I feel house rules coming.
Oh, no. I actually will bet that hello there is an ability on his card to jump down from terrain and do something.
I'm sure it is. I mean, hello there is an ability in Legion for him as well too. So I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a thing. And it's going to involve jumping from a higher level terrain.
Yeah, it would be perfect. I like it.
It's going to be great. Yeah. So we know those
Paul's
things.
never not going to play Obi-Wan ever again.
We know that the core set is absolutely packed. We don't actually have any confirmation that there's terrain in the core set yet. I don't think we've seen confirmation that the terrain will be in the core set. I would assume it will, and then that you can supplement it.
I feel like I read something that they were having.
It's possible. It's possible, and I missed it that it was in there. But the thing that I will say is important is that there are an absolute pile of gorgeous minis in the starter set.
Yes, there are.
So like almost twice as many as there are in the MCP starter, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there's enough in that starter set, I believe, to build 4 squads.
Yes.
Or because it's skirmish based, low model count. You know, from what we've seen so far, and it's like 1 captain and a few fuds coming around with them.
Yeah. And
the core box so far, we've seen all 4 captains, which are going to be Maul, Ahsoka, Asajj, and Anakin are the 4 captains, and then each one of those captains has a named character that goes with them. So like, Maul is getting Gar Saxon. Ahsoka is getting Bo-Katan because it's like older Ahsoka later on when she's in her blue outfit. Anakin's getting Rex, and Asajj, I don't remember who Asajj is getting as her captain. Is it one of the battle droids?
I think it's the battle droid, and that model looks really cool because it's got like the little hand hologram.
It does.
Yeah,
have
it's like the
little
commander.
hand
It's
hologram.
the ape ones, the command battle droids.
But we've seen more than that too, right? Outside of the
Correct.
starter, we've seen Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've seen Luminara Unduli with what's her name? She was friends with Ahsoka in the show. Went traitor.
Oh yeah. Isla Sakura.
Barris Offrey.
That's it.
Barris Offrey.
Yep.
Because she's Luminara's apprentice.
we've also seen
Isla's
Dooku.
the blue one.
And we've seen Dooku as well too, with Magna Guard.
Yep, and it most importantly, guys, General Grievous.
Yes.
And the Grievous model is my favorite model from the range so far. If I had to pick one.
Yeah.
So lots of cool stuff with expansions. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to talk about what is one feature of this game, because I think we've gone through most of the stuff. Oh, one thing I think we should mention is that they have talked about the game having like progressive objectives, which should make anybody listening to this show very happy, because progressive objectives are like one of the most exciting things in all wargaming. Progressive objectives are the kinds of things that Malifaux uses, the kinds of things that the pro tournament 40K games use, where objectives sort of like change and become harder as the game progresses. And that's really cool, in my opinion. It keeps every round of the game fresh. And I'm very excited to see how the AMG team deploys progressive objectives.
It is. It's really going to be, and we don't know. Is it going to be set up like MCP, where maybe some characters have kind of objectives that are somewhat like themed for them?
Well, I'm hoping that it'll be somewhat like Malifaux and someone like Eden, where you bring some objectives with you, but the objectives sort of like in Malifaux, right? The objectives get harder and harder. Like the gaining grounds objectives, like the initial points are easy to score, but it becomes more and more difficult to score them as the game goes on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping for something similar to that, and that Eden style where you bring the objectives that you want, because that's like thematic, right? You're showing up to do the thing that you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what I was trying to say. Would there be objectives? I guess like you said, are you like Obi-Wan and I'm going to bring this specific situation?
Oh yeah,
for
I get
Obi-Wan
what
to
you're
carry,
saying.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think that's really cool. But now what I want to talk about, I want to say we should each pick, and you can take a minute because I've got one queued up. One feature that you hope is part of this game. So like, if you were designing the game, what's the thing that you would bring into it? And think about something that's like maybe missing in the mini space, or something that'd be really exciting or hasn't really been done elsewhere, right? And then also some potential negatives, right? Because I do have some nagging complaints here. And actually some that don't even involve the fact that AMG can't handle the game load that FFG dumped on them, or that Asmodee dumped on them. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it wasn't Fantasy Flight's decision, Asmodee's decision. And that's out of AMG's hands. And one of you guys can pick that, and we can talk over that too. So one thing you hope, and one thing that is potentially worrying. So the thing that I hope, and I think this might be a pretty spicy take, because I haven't seen really anyone online talk about this as a thing they want for this game. But the thing that I want for this game is for it to be on a 2x2. So
yeah,
if I had to choose the game board size for this game and have anything I would want, because it appears to me that the forces that you're going to bring into the game is 4 to 5 models.
Yeah, that's what it looks like so far.
And 4 to 5 models on a densely populated 2x2 terrain board sounds amazing, because that will mean that turn 1 is impactful. It will mean that the design space, they don't have to worry about ranges for guns. You can just assume that blasters can fire clear across the game space, and terrain becomes more important to avoid blaster fire. And I just think that will allow for much more dangerous and dynamic play, and will allow both shooting and melee oriented characters to really shine. So that is my thing that I really hope. Do you guys have any feedback there? Do you think it's a bad idea, good idea? Maybe.
No, I think it's an amazing idea actually for me, because I like that small. I think that's one of the things that Kill Team, when they redid Kill Team, playing on that small board size was the same kind of thing. Like, it was impactful. You were doing stuff turn one. I super agree with that, because it makes close combat worthwhile in the beginning. So if you're playing something like, and I'll continue using Kill Team, if you're playing like something like Blood Angels, who excel at close combat, you don't feel like it's going to take you 2 turns to be able to actually start playing the game. And so if I'm taking a bunch of melee dudes because I like combat, like that'll make it where I could feel like Maul's actually going to do something turn one.
And look, it can be Kill Team size. I don't care. It's that 18 by 24 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, fine. That's perfect. Like, or 24 by 32. I don't really remember what the the Kill Team board is.
But yeah, I'm just saying. I was just using an example as I know it's something that's got a smaller play size. But I mean,
like
anything.
they could even do that, right? Because those boards already exist, right? And people have already printed neoprene boards that are that size. So they could easily just sort of like piggyback onto that, because that's what Warcry is too, right? It's because of GW, it is it's 22 and a half by 30. So that's fine. That's technically more square inches than 2 by 2. Fine with that. And you can make kill boxes and stuff. So perfect.
Well, and especially if they make terrain impactful, you're playing on a 3D plane. Yes. Instead of just the 2D plane of just on the surface, you're looking at everything from vertical to horizontal.
Yeah,
on that.
And the other thing that it does is it makes it so that they can produce like really good terrain packs that fill boards without breaking budgets.
Correct.
So all of these things, like, I really hope the game is not on a 3x3 and it's a smaller board size.
Yeah, I don't have to go spend $60 on a terrain box and I only get a building. And that's it. Whereas I could spend $60 and they get like 5-6 pieces of terrain because they're smaller. I like it.
Paul, what do you think?
I'm down for it.
Yes and no.
I
think there's a lot of good things that you said that would come out of it, but thinking about MCP, and there's, it's just natural to be able to compare that. It's not taking you 2 turns to get there. You know what I mean? Like, shit starts happening.
Not if you're playing X-Force. You're getting there turn 1. Yeah.
Like even ranges and stuff like that. If you go hard for an objective, you can be countered turn 1 if depending on what it is. So I don't know that that's necessarily a concern for me. My thing with that would be, I don't know. It seems like 3x3 is a little more standard size, so it might keep people interested as like that could be a deterrent.
Like why lock people out when they've already got 3x3s?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I understand that, but remember that people also already have Kill Team boards. Like most people, like most hobbyists that I know have a board from Kill Team. And the thing that it allows them to do is they could so if it was, for example, that 22 by 30, that is the reason that Kill Team boards are 22 by 30 is because that's a standard print size. I can't remember what it is, right? Like A10 or whatever. They could put a fold out mat, much like Infinity does in their code 1 boxes.
Yeah.
So that could be another big reason why they would do that, is that they could, instead of like forcing you to like just use your kitchen table or whatever, or buy a mat from them initially, they could just have a paper one in the box and then sell the neoprene ones on the side.
This is also Asmodee. So I'm going to guess not.
I know. Fair. But just like I said, this is me dreaming of a feature.
Sure.
But I will contend that my my speculative brain assumes it's going to be a 3x3. Like I'm pretty sure that's probably true. But boy, would it make me very excited to see it on a smaller, more intimate board size. How about you guys? Dream features, either one.
You want to go, Paul, or you
No,
want me to
I'll go. For me, I don't know if I want to say it's a feature, but it's a feeling I want out of it. And I want it to feel like the characters, like say Anakin or Ahsoka, feel very powerful, right? Like since it's a smaller game, smaller amount of guys, you want it to feel like it's that up close and personal combat, right? And hopefully they'll feel significantly stronger than the FUDs that come along. Because I really, like it would be great to have a little bit of that, Anakin slicing through people and Maul just dropping them from high heights and.
you want to see them do the things that they did in the shows and the movies.
Yeah, compare it to like from MCP to Malifaux, right? Where in MCP, even like three threat heroes aren't necessarily made of paper mache, right?
Right.
But in a game like Malifaux, you got to watch out for your scheme runners because big 8 Soulstone characters will shred them.
Right.
Right.
Just like maybe even in one swing shred them, and you have to be careful, right? And so maybe that is what they do here. And I think you're right. I think that's 100% what I want too. I want the named characters that are heroic to feel heroic.
So when MCP first came out, one of the things I was not necessarily thrilled about it is that I kind of wanted to see, the heroes kind of plowing through groups of enemies, and I realized that's more how the Batman game is. So, yes. I don't necessarily want it to be so over the top, but, I want that feeling. Like, I want the feeling that I was, would hope that, like, a Batman game would give me.
I want that too. Can we call that? We want it like a street level game, not like a superhero game.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm into that. I really like that, and that I will co-sign on that hope. I hope that's also part of the game. How about you, Potter?
I was like, yeah, my turn. So mine is going to kind of branch from what Paul is saying because I want that heroic feel, exactly like what he's talking about. But I want it more in the terms of getting more duels in miniature games like Bushido. So I'm hoping when you're in melee combat, it doesn't feel like I'm just throwing dice at you. I want really cool, like, duel mechanics.
Look here. You are speaking my language. So I had to choose between two things. I had two things in mind, Chris. One of them was that I wanted it on a smaller board, and the other thing is that I wanted a version of Bushido's melee combat. So we are of the same mind here.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's just, like... I love Legion. I think I will still to this day say Legion is the best mass battle game on the market, hands down.
Sure.
But when I throw anyone in there that isn't Vader, the melee fighting feels bleh. Where I think this game's got the opportunity because every captain that they have shown so far has been some sort of lightsaber wielding machine.
Mm-hmm.
You got Ventress, Dooku, Grievous. Luminar is more, she's not more melee. But anyways, everybody's got a lightsaber essentially.
Yep. And
I want to feel. I want Duel of Fates in a game.
Yep. And so,
like when I'm doing that fight against Obi-Wan, I want to be able to hum that song in my head.
Man, I'm with you.
And then chop him down from the high ground.
Yeah. I really, really hope they do something that has blind opposing dice duels with differences between defense focused and offense focused dice, and you don't know necessarily what your opponent is picking before you roll.
I mean, it's thematic, right? Because it's using your force abilities.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
And
like
then force abilities can do like, you can like have
and I want
force
that
dice or things you can add in, or like, yeah, dude. I mean, there's all kinds of places they could go with this, right? But
I mean, essentially, yeah, you could throw in like Malifaux level cheating. Like, I'm going to use the Force, aka cheat,
yep,
and re-roll something because I was able to sense that you were about to do that.
yep, yeah. For
Like, please give it to me.
100% sure. Yeah, yeah. That is that.
Yep.
I'm in again, co-signing on that too. Like more than vanilla roll dice melee combat. Please,
Yeah, that would be
please,
cool.
AMG gods.
Yeah, like I enjoy playing MCP, but I don't want to just continue just throwing buckets of dice.
Yeah, and these guys are capable of it. I mean, look at the damage systems
in
War Machine and Hordes, right? Like they have this in their acumen. They know how to make combat interesting and how to do things that are kind of like off book. And I really hope that they can do that kind of stuff, and they can and you know, Asmodee is tokenathon, so they can, if they need tokens for tracking statuses or damage or whatever, we know for sure they're going to include sheets and sheets of them. There's no problem there. So the design space is open to them, and I really hope that they have taken the time to make that combat something very special.
I agree.
Hell yeah. All right. So
on to our fears.
Our fears. And so I'm going to call my fear the infinity problem. What do I mean by the infinity problem?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So if you remember when Code 1 was being introduced, one of the reasons that they wanted to make Code 1 was that they wanted to make an on-ramp for the game, but the other reason that they wanted to make Code 1 is they wanted a different way to release models to lower SKU blow for retailers. And the thing that I'm worried about is with AMG having a fifth game in their wheelhouse, and a fifth miniatures game that Asmodee is publishing, and a game that looks like it's going to have a similar packaging and release function to Marvel Crisis Protocol, is that the release structure and timing will be such that game stores will not be able to carry all of these games. And so that is the thing that I think scares me the most, more than anything, because it means that one or two of the games have to get killed, or retailers will choose which products to bring in, and they won't bring everything in. Because, I mean, MCP, they're adding, two not insignificant sized boxes to their shelves every month.
Right.
Now, we're not talking about GW levels of churn here, but like, one of the things we like about these games is that the models are mostly readily available. Like, that's not, MCP's had its problems. It's Venoms, it's Blades, right? There have been issues with models that are hard to get. Doctor Strange. But, like, it's not been like a situation where you walk into a store and store owners are complaining about how much MCP they have to carry. But if a second game comes in that has a similar cadence, and now instead of just the 2 MCP releases, it's 4 releases, 2 for Shatterpoint and 2 for MCP. That's a multiplicative problem, right?
Right.
And I think that that's a thing that I really worry about from the health and stability of the game.
So I'm going to be snarky here. Please know this comes with a high level of snark.
Yeah.
Buy Armada. As in goodbye, Armada.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that was the first thing I thought
again,
of.
High levels of snark.
Yeah.
But that's my when you say that, that's exactly where my brain went, was Armada gets the cut, because X-Wing is super popular. It flies off the shelves. It's got a good following in almost every single game store. MCP flying off the shelves. It's getting to the point where it's hard to find models. You throw in Legion sells well, probably not as well as any of the rest of the games, but better than Armada. And then you're going to throw in another Star Wars IP in there. Yeah, the one that's gonna go is going to be the one that doesn't make the sales, and unfortunately, that's Armada.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. Like, No doubt. I don't think anybody would argue that.
And I hate to say it, because as much as I personally am not a fan of Armada because I don't like naval warfare games, it's still a fantastic game. It's still a lot of fun. It's big ass Star Wars ships going around blowing each other up. It's fun. But I mean, it is the lowest selling game out of what has been given to AMG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Now, yes, agreed. And
Now that I've killed the mood,
yes, but I think we all agree that I mean that's a legit fear, right? I'm not just coming. I'm not baseless when I say that.
Nope. I think
no, I
right.
don't think so. And I don't. And again, I don't want Armada to go anywhere. I don't. I was happy to see today our local store had people in there playing it today that they posted on Facebook. It was like, great, somebody's playing this game. So please don't take it that I'm trying to get rid of your game. If that's your fun, I'm not trying to yuck in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. It's just sort of like reading the tea leaves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to another fear, possible negative.
What? Do I? Yeah. Yeah. I gotta give mine. Did you forget about me?
No.
I didn't give mine.
You didn't? I thought you did.
No, he was just adding on to me saying goodbye to Armada as an extension of mine.
Oh,
you're good.
I got lost. Good. I got lost in the excitement.
But what's yours, Paul?
Can I go then?
Yes.
I just worry that there's a chance that it's not going to stand out enough from MCP.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of differential that they really need on there, and they got to do it.
Hard to argue. I don't think I have anything I could say because I think that is a legit fear because the games play in a similar space, right? And also with giant IPs. And it doesn't have to just differentiate itself from MCP. It also has to differentiate itself from Legion, right?
Yep. Kill Team.
And Kill Team, right? Yeah, it's got lots of competition. So yeah, I think that's a well-founded fear. The game's got a real I think they're playing it very smart by debuting it at Adepticon and making sure that it's not I think it was a mistake to show MCP first at Gen Con. They did it because they had FFG behind them. It was a big place to do it. They could get it in front of a lot of people. But I'll tell you, when I was there excited, the amount of people that walked by and was like, these things don't come built or painted. Ugh. And they, walk on. It's a non-zero number of people. Let me tell you that we're doing that. Like, I think everybody who walked up to the case said that. I'm just wow. Jesus. Yeah. And so bringing it to Adepticon instead, where you have the audience.
You're there with miniature players and not board game players.
And also, not only that, but you're there with the miniature game influencers. So like Scott the Miniature Maniac, Ash from Guerrilla Miniatures Games, probably like Juan Hidalgo, right? Like big painters, like those people are going to be there. So it would be a good spot for them to get as many eyes on that thing as possible. Like my prediction is that they're going to have a booth at Adepticon. They're going to have Dallas there painting like on the floor and talking to people at their booth. He'll just be painting and talking to people and building models. And then they will have 4 to 6 demo tables, because that's what they had for MCP at Gen Con, for anybody to walk up. And they will also have off to the side private demo tables for influencers to film games. And it's going to just be a huge win for them to get as many eyes on that thing as possible right away.
Yep, I think you're right on that one.
But you're right, Paul, it has to differentiate. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so my fear is that Paul took mine, damn it.
I could do another one.
No, you're fine. I knew you were. The thing is I should have been prepared because you and I literally just talked about this like 2 days ago when you were over at my house. So, I think the biggest fear is that it rests too much on its IP. A lot of Star Wars games have that tendency to do that. Now, some of them were FFG, but we all know Asmodee is kind of FFG light sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't want them to. I don't want them to take and do like an Activision thing with Blizzard and stand in the way too much. And I let Atomic Mass Games do their thing. Like stay out of their way. Let them do what they can do, and let them build the game that they know they can build, and just let them do it. These guys are fully capable. The Schick has proven it time and time again with MCP, with War Machine. Like, these are good game designers. Let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking a fantastic answer.
So, there we go.
Mic drop.
So what's next? Mic drop. We're done. End of the show. Bye. No, I'm joking.
Bye.
Bye. I can't do Chop justice. I'm sorry, guys.